We know very well that many a times science, based on theories and hypotheses, it takes U-turns. In the field of astronomy, if you ask a scientist that how was our universe formed, how did it come into existence, so he will tell you about the Big Bang theory, that initially the whole universe was one primary nebula. Then there was a secondary separation, which gave rise to galaxies, which further split to form things such as our solar system, which gave rise to planets, the sun, and the present Earth which we live in. I start my talk by quoting a verse of the Holy Quran from Surah Al-Anbiya, chapter number 21, verse number 30, which says, "Avalam yaral lazina kafaru." Do not the unbelievers see, "Anna samawati wal arda kanata ratkan fafataknahuma." The heavens and the earth were joined together, and we clove them asunder. This verse of the Holy Quran speaks about the Big Bang theory in a nutshell. Imagine what we came to know today, the Holy Quran mentions 1400 years ago. And the Quran also says in Surah Fussilat, chapter 41, verse number 11, that moreover, in his design, he comprehended the sky, and it had been smoke. And he said to it and the earth, "Come eat together, willingly or unwillingly." And they said, "We come together in willing obedience." The Arabic word used here is dukhan, which means smoke. If you ask a scientist, he will tell you that the universe, before it was formed, the celestial matter, it was in the state of gas. And the Arabic word dukhan, which means smoke, is more scientifically correct than mere gas. And according to Stephen Hawking, who's a very famous scientist, he said, the discovery of bridges of matter in the space is the biggest discovery of the century, which gives us undisputable evidence of the creation of the universe and the Big Bang theory. Previously, the people thought that the world we live in, it is flat. And they were afraid to venture too far lest they would fall over. It was only in 1597 when Sir Francis Drake, when he sailed around the earth, he proved that the world was spherical. The Quran mentions in Surah Luqman, chapter number 31, verse number 29, "Alam tara anna Allaha yuliju layla fil nahari wa yuliju nahara fil layli." It is Allah that merges the night unto the day and merges the day unto the night. Merging is a slow and gradual process. The night slowly and gradually changes to day, and the day slowly and gradually changes to night. This phenomena is only possible if the shape of the earth is spherical. It's not possible if it's flat. If it was flat, there will be a sudden change. The Quran says in Surah Al-Zumar, chapter number 39, verse number 5, it says, "Huwa alladhi khalaqa samawati bil haqqi." It is Allah who has created the heavens and the earth in true proportion. And he overlaps and coils the night unto the day, and overlaps or coils the day unto the night. The Arabic word used is kawara, which means overlapping or coiling. How you coil a turban around the head. How you overlap a turban around the head. This phenomena of the night overlapping and coiling over the day is only possible if the shape of the earth is spherical. It's not possible if the shape of the earth is flat. There will be a sudden change. The Holy Quran further says in Surah Naziyat, chapter number 79, verse number 30, it says, "Wal ard ba'da zalika dahaha." And thereafter, we have made the earth egg-shaped. The Arabic word dahaha comes from the root word dhuya, meaning an egg shape. And it does not refer to any normal egg. It specifically refers to the egg of an ostrich. And today we know that the world is not completely round like a ball. It is geospherical. It's slightly flattened from the top and bulging from the center. It's geospherical. And if you analyze the shape of the egg of an ostrich, it too is geospherical, slightly flattened from the top and bulging from the center. So the Holy Quran describes the exact geospherical earth 1400 years ago. Previously we thought that the light of the moon is its own light. It's recently we discovered that the light of the moon is reflected light of the sun. The Quran says in Surah Furqan, chapter number 25, verse number 61, "Blessed is he who has created the constellations in the sky and placed therein a lamp and moon having borrowed light." The Quran says in Surah Yunus, chapter number 10, verse number 5, "It is Allah who has created the sun as a shining glory and the moon having a reflection of light." The similar message is repeated in Surah Nuh, chapter 71, verse number 15 and 16. The Arabic word for sun is shams. It's always described either as siraj, meaning a torch, or wahaj, meaning a blazing lamp, or diya, meaning a shining glory. The moon, the Arabic word is qamar. It's always described as munir, meaning borrowed light, or nur, which is a reflection of light. Nowhere is the moonlight described as siraj or wahaj or diya. Always as munir or nur, that's borrowed light or a reflection of light. The Quran says in Surah Tariq, chapter number 86, verse number 3, "An-najm as-saqib." The Arabic word for the star is najm. Is described as saqib. Its light is described as saqib. It pierces the darkness and consumes itself. Previously, the Europeans, they thought that the earth stood dead in the center of the universe, and all the planets, including the sun, it revolved around the earth. It was known as the theory of geocentrism. It was believed by Ptolemy in the 2nd century BC and was believed till as late as 16th century, until Copernicus said that the earth and the planets revolve around the sun. And later on, in 1609, Johannes Kepler wrote in his book Astronomia Novia that not only do the earth and the planets revolve around the sun, they also rotate about their own axis. When I was in school, I had learned that the earth and the planets, they rotate about their axis. But I was taught that the sun was fixed. It did not rotate about its own axis. What the Holy Quran says in Surah Al-Anbiya, chapter number 21, verse number 33. It says, "Huwa alladhi khalaqa al-layla wan-nahara." It is Allah who has created the night and the day. "Wash-shamsa wal-qamar." The sun and the moon. "Kullun fi falaki yasbahun." Each one traveling in orbit with its own motion. The Arabic word yasbahun is derived from the word sabaha, which describes the motion of a moving body. If I say that a man is doing sabaha on the ground, it will not mean that he's rolling. It will mean he's either walking or running. If I say a person is doing sabaha in the water, it will not mean he is floating. It will mean he's swimming. Similarly, when the Quran uses the word yasbahun, derived from sabaha, for a celestial body, it will not mean it is flying. It will mean it is rotating about its own axis. And today, we have come to know, with the help of an equipment, we can have the image of the sun on a tabletop. And we see there are black spots. And it takes approximately 25 days for these black spots to complete one rotation, indicating that the sun takes approximately 25 days to complete one rotation. Can you imagine? The Quran speaks about the rotation and the revolution of the sun 1400 years ago, which science has discovered today. The Holy Quran says in Surah Yasin, chapter number 36, verse number 40, it is not permitted for the sun to catch up with the moon, nor the night to outstrip the day. Kullun fi falaki yasbahun, each one traveling in an orbit with its own motion. What does the Quran mean by saying it is not permitted for the sun to catch up with the moon? Previously people thought that the orbit of the sun and the moon was same. But Quran gives the indication, no, the orbit of the sun and the moon is different. So the question of catching up does not arise. And each of them, the sun and the moon, they rotate as well as revolve. The Quran says in Surah Yasin, chapter number 36, verse number 38, وَالشَّمْسُ تَجْرِي لِمُسْتَقَرٍّ لَهَا, that the sun is running its course to a place determined, for a period determined. The Arabic word mustaqar means to a place determined, for a period determined. Today science has come to know that the sun, along with the solar system, it is going towards a point in the universe which the scientists call as the solar apex. And it's moving at a speed of 12 miles per second. And it's going to a point which they call as a point in the constellation of Hercules. This same message is repeated in Surah Ra'd, chapter number 13, verse number 2. In Surah Fatir, chapter number 35, verse number 13. In Surah Luqman, chapter number 31, verse number 29. As well as in Surah Al-Zumar, chapter number 39, verse number 5, it says that the sun and the moon runs its course for a period determined. The Quran says in Surah Dhariyat, chapter number 51, verse number 47, that it is we who have constructed with power and skill the firmaments, and it's we who make the vastness and the expanding universe. The Arabic word musi'una means expanding universe, the vastness of space. Edwin Eho, who was a famous scientist, he discovered and said that the universe is expanding, the galaxies are receding from one another, which the Quran has mentioned 1400 years ago. There may be some people who say, it's nothing great that the Holy Quran speaks about astronomy, since the Arabs, they were very well advanced in the field of astronomy. I would like to bring to the notice that it was centuries after the Holy Quran was revealed that the Arabs became advanced in astronomy. So it is from the Quran that the Arabs learned about astronomy and not the vice versa. In the field of physics, there was a theory known as atomism, that atom is the smallest part of matter which cannot be divided. This theory was propounded by Democrats, the Greeks, 23 centuries ago. And it was also known to the Arabs. And the Arabic word for atom is zarrah. But today, after science has advanced, we have come to know that though atom is the smallest particle of matter, having the characteristic of the element, it yet can be divided into electrons, protons, etc. So people may think that the Quran is outdated. The Quran does speak about zarrah and says it's a minute particle. But nowhere does it say that it cannot be divided. In fact, the Quran says in Surah Sabah, chapter number 34, verse number 3, it says that when the unbelievers say that the hour will never come, tell them, it will surely come with the permission of the Lord who has the knowledge of the unseen. who has in his record the minutest detail of an atom in the heavens